Hello, I'm Joel Reuter, and on this month's reports, we'll take a close look at policy development.
I'm at Heidelberg College in Tiffin, Ohio, where the results of a 3-year study are now available. Hello, I'm Marty Bird. I'll have the results of the well water testing program on this month's reports.
Policy development, the blueprint for our organization, is back on the drafting table. State kickoff meetings will continue through July, and the process concludes during the business session at the National Convention in St. Louis next January. It is important for every voting member to become involved as much as possible so that Farm Bureau is working on the most important issues, says State Legislative Director Bob Kraft.
Policy development is the driving force behind our organization because it provides the direction that we who are involved in the public policy process at the state level on behalf of the Farm Bureau organization, where we go and what we do with respect to the issues that are presented to us.
It starts with one individual farmer with an idea or problem. Then, during the policy development process, counties surface debate to address the issue. That one idea could make its way to the state or national business sessions for consideration. In any case, it is important to form a collective agreement on issues so staff lobbyists can communicate a unified voice to lawmakers.
That's why it's important that each county Farm Bureau undertakes an aggressive, active policy development program that makes a genuine effort to involve as many voting members as is at all possible to identify the issues that are of concern to our members out in the country.
Workers' compensation insurance is one issue which will be reviewed during the policy debate.
Field crop work is listed as one of the most dangerous occupations. To no surprise, farmers who provide workers' compensation insurance to their employees pay higher premiums than other Indiana employers. Up to now, that coverage is optional to farmer employers. Recent legislative efforts to make it mandatory is one reason a special committee will look at the workers' compensation issue this month. Results will be available for the policy development process.
It's one of those issues that has to really be looked at. It does cost a lot of money. It's a very expensive kind of program, and it's one that needs to be really looked at, and there's a lot of gray in this.
There are a number of arguments bailed into this issue for and against workers' compensation. On the positive side, it reduces the employer's liability if accidents occur, and it attracts labor to the farm. But rates may be too expensive for many farmers to pay, considering it is another financial input to operating costs. Plus, defining who should be covered and during which labor situations makes this issue a difficult and detailed policy to develop, according to Baugh.
There's big differences between that part-time, occasional type agriculture employee and something that would be considered, for example, a full-time. We also have to look at a lot of agriculture labor is family labor.
Current policy states Farm Bureau is opposed to mandatory coverage of all farm workers under the federal or state workmen's compensation programs.
The 1995 Farm Bill Task Force is on track, coming up with positions and recommendations for policy development. Subcommittee members are coming face to face on a number of issues which may be included in the legislation. Projecting the outcome of what could be in the final Farm Bill has Subcommittee Chair Alan Kemper and the rest of the task force thinking about how this policy will influence the future of agriculture.
Well, I think the members really have at least two different ways they can go, two different possible options. Either we can keep the status quo with the Farm Bill, and we work through that through the 85, the 90 Farm Bills in session, make another 95 one that's another just kind of a rubber stamp of the last two programs with some changes, some little bit. Or they can sit back and say, could this be next to the last Farm Bill? And maybe we ought to go ahead and try to change the direction of it and try to look at if we are getting less payments, is to how we can affect that the best and how we can get the best bang for that. So I think a lot of Farm Bureau members, as we come through the policy development process of August and September into the convention in Indianapolis, needs to kind of put their thinking caps on, because this could be their last Farm Bill they're writing.
A series of meetings will be held statewide during the first week in August to discuss the task force's findings. Organizers of the World Pork Expo are saying the three-day Indianapolis event was a success, and they'll be back in a few years. Nearly 50,000 people went to the exhibit to learn more about pork production or enjoy entertainment and free food. 700 Hoosiers volunteered their time to sweat over a hot grill to cook the pork. Looking for something to do this summer? Well, you could sit around and watch your crops grow. Or you can get off that Farm Bureau membership card and have a little fun. Farm Bureau Promotional Services has just the ticket. Savings at nearly a dozen theme and entertainment parks. Holiday World, Six Flags, Indiana Beach, Opryland, Passport Club, including SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, Cypress Gardens, Cedar Point, Kings Island, and the Magic Kingdom Club. Go over the edge, hang around with some of your best friends, or relax with an evening's entertainment. It's all waiting for you at discount prices. There's a whole summer of activity. Just pick up the telephone and call Promotional Services to receive more information. Farmers have worked hard in recent years to improve water quality, and this month's priority issue focus will tell you about the conclusion of Indiana Farm Bureau's well water testing program, a point that should be taken to Congress as the Clean Water Act is debated.
Farmers have worked hard in recent years to improve water quality. No one has more to gain from quality groundwater than the rural residents who drink from private drinking wells. Maybe that's why Indiana Farm Bureau's 3-year study was such a success. At the Water Quality Lab at Heidelberg College in Tiffin, Ohio, Dr. David Baker and his staff have been compiling test results from over 9,100 wells in 68 Indiana counties.
Indiana Farm Bureau initiated the 3-year study with county farm bureaus in cooperation with many other organizations throughout the state.
We attended many county programs immediately following the testing in that county, and we were impressed by just the response of the people and the response as well of the county health departments and the extension agents and soil and water district, as well as the Farm Bureau people who organized these local meetings back in the counties.
Participating counties were provided individual summaries of the findings. Now a statewide report and atlas are being produced. It will give authorities the right information about the quality of our groundwater as public policy is developed. The results, a conclusion that has long been projected by agriculture. Groundwater is the safest source for drinking water.
We've got a lot of information that is quite useful, and I think that all of the farm people throughout the state of Indiana ought to be proud and quite pleased with the project and the results that we're getting, that we have and have now summarized.
By and large, with respect to contaminants that would come from human sources, our groundwater is an excellent and the best supply we have.
A 50-page summary, along with an atlas mapping out county-by-county summaries, will be made available at the end of July.
The 1994 edition of the School Statistical Report is now available and is being distributed statewide. It is a clearinghouse of data for anyone interested in local school funding. This year's edition has been updated to make it easier to find appropriate information.
When people get elected to the school board, they really don't have a lot of information, a lot of the details to run a school corporation, be on a board. And many of these school boards have a $10 or $15 million budget. Some school districts, depending on the size, will be much smaller. But again, with that type of public money being spent, school boards like to have more information instead of just taking the information from maybe the superintendent or what they read in the newspaper.
For additional copies, call the Legislative Division.
Farm Bureau is now a co-sponsor of Take Pride in Indiana. The program, adopted after a federal project, Take Pride in America, ended. encourages schools to become involved with improving the environment. The Indiana Department of Education is starting the new program this fall.
Basically, our sponsorship is printing the materials, but we support it because every school district, a group of kids can do something, clean up their community, take pride in Indiana.
For more information on how to get your schools involved, contact the Legislative Division.
In the headlines, radio and television, Farm Bureau is reaching non-farmers and farmers alike. That's one reason why staff will be holding media training for leaders in Eastern Farm Bureau districts this year. Training coordinator Jim Rydell explains why.
The reason I'm excited about the media training workshop is that it gives the county leadership an opportunity for a hands-on type of media training workshop opportunity that they may not have a chance to do that another time besides maybe a camera be put in their face or a newspaper interview or something like that. This will give them, those participants, an experience before that chance ever happens that a camera does come and have that interview.
Rydell says it is increasingly important to speak up on behalf of agriculture to make sure your voice is heard. Participants will have an option to be members of media response teams, a local contact for your area news media.
This information will be kept on file by the Information Division as well as their local media. Say, for example, local radio station may be interested in talking to a dairy farmer. They go to their files and see that they have a chance of talking to 3 or 4 different dairy farmers that are media trained.
Even-numbered districts will be included in the media training next year.
Hello, this is Mel Hollingsworth with a membership update. As we head into the final days left to sign up new members, I am pleased to report that statewide we've reached 102% total membership. And we still have until the end of September to sign up renewals. We are only 9 counties away from having an every county gain again this year. Leading the way in membership is Miami County with 110% total. This means they'll win the Harvester Award. In line for the Producer Awards will be Putnam, Perry, Floyd, Jackson, and Washington counties to date. This means they've made 105% of membership.